Welcome back to another episode of the Randy Wilson podcast. I'm your host, Randy Wilson. Today, we have a guest on the show that I've been wanting to interview for a very long time. King Fizzle, Emcee, artist, rapper, and we're going to get into more about who he is. Before I get too deep into it, make sure you go follow the show, subscribe on your preferred podcast channel. I encourage you to go over to YouTube because then you can see us. Please leave comments, and thank you just for continuing to support the show. King Fizzle is a battle MC artist. He represents Herndon and Richmond, Virginia. He's a very interesting MC. He's quite different probably than any other artist that I've ever heard. I mean, just the way he puts his words together, and you can tell he's a student of life. You can tell because sometimes if you're not knowledgeable in the area of where he's focusing at, things can get really complicated. So I think it's part of why I like him, because he challenges the listener to re-listen and go back. But I've watched this young man over the past few years overcome just life in general and continue to show such a strong passion for hip hop throughout. I mean, I've seen this guy on his lives in the hospital bed, breathing rough, but still finding time to, engage with his audience of people who support him, and, just continue to be inspiring to other people when he's fighting, and I don't even always know what he's fighting for, but I think it just calls me out to like spiritually like connect, pray, and hope for, him to continue to overcome. And then he does. He comes back and he bounces back and he gets in the battle arena, and again, listen, I'm telling you, and I'm speaking truthfully from my heart on behalf of what I see and how I'm inspired. And all I can say to you is go follow him, follow his journey, go listen to his battles on YouTube. If you know, and a lot of you know who listen to the show, but if you don't, this man is an inspiration. And sometimes, every show I do is for a different reason. I wanted to be very clear about the reason why I wanted to do this show. I didn't want to do this show because of his social media platform. I didn't want to do this show because of his popularity. I didn't want to do this show just because he's a dope MC. I wanted to do this show because I felt spiritually inspired and led to be a contributor, hopefully, and helping him put a message out there to people. I wanted to be collaborative because I haven't ever heard him in an interview outside of like face-offs. And so I've never heard him really tell his story. And I truthfully believe that his story will inspire other people, because I see the way he continues just to inspire the rap community that he's so graciously a part of. And so, this is King Fizzle. VCU graduate. He has a bachelor's degree in epidemiology. I had to practice saying that word. He's a student of knowledge. He's heavily involved in the Richmond rap scene as a battle rapper with the Southpaw Battle Coalition. He also participates heavily in RVA Rap Elite. You can go on YouTube and check out some of his battles. Probably my favorite one is against Jay Moore. He's battled Rossetti, Chef Token, Kane. He just most recently battled Introverse. Congratulations on your victory there. But I mean, just the all around, I've never heard anybody ever say anything negative. Like, I think his aura is so positive, inspirational, that even when he does his face offs, like, man, it's like I don't see people can get angry with him. You know what I'm saying? It's amazing. But enough for me, man. Fizzle, thank you, man, for coming on the show. I greatly appreciate it.
It is truly an honor to be here, Randy. Thank you for having me.
Yo, man. So, man, I got a few questions here. I want to kind of First off, I want to start. I want to start. I just want to. I'm going to start right on in here on something that's probably deep a little bit, and I'm coming from a place of ignorance. Okay, like until I read your bio, I didn't know that you was Palestinian. You're Palestinian, if I'm correct, right?
My family's from Pakistan.
Your family's from Pakistan.
Yeah.
Okay. You got to help me here, because so I'm here. I'm trying to learn, like, because I see so much stuff going on, on the news and things like that. And when I read your bio, I'm like, well, dang, you may be the only person that I have a connection with that has family from there. So like and there's probably a lot of people just like me who don't have a connection. All they know is like what they see on the news and things like that. So like I'm just curious, man, like with everything that's been going on in the media and the news lately and everything that's kind of going on in the world, like I feel like you can be a voice, in our space, in our community, and kind of just like maybe giving knowledge and helping explain like what the hell is going on. You know what I'm saying? Like, because truthfully, if we're gonna be honest, a lot of us don't know what's going on, man. We just know that there's a lot of stuff going on in the world. And if I understand correctly, because I try to do a little bit of research, like you are a student of different types of religion. Am I correct with that?
Yeah.
Can you shed some light? And I don't mean to start in a deep, dark spot, but this is going to be deep. Our conversation is not going to be like a typical conversation. I know.
Yeah. 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 Nah. Yeah. So for me, I've always been attracted to just sort of the deeper meaning and reasoning behind the how things unfold in reality, right? And I it's where do I begin? It's really tough. So I was raised in a strict Muslim family. And we are the first generation of my family here in the United States. So I immigrated with my parents here, and my parents they don't have a very strong grasp of the English language that I do. So there was some communication barrier, but also a cultural divide. And because of that, my parents lacked the explanatory scope to explain why we do certain things in our culture and in our religion. And growing up, I had all of these questions on why we do things, why do we do it like this? And when 9/11 happened, I was like in fifth or sixth grade. And so all of these things are happening around me, and people are looking at me, and I did not have any of the responses to a lot of what I was having to verbally defend, intellectually defend. And so actually, it was around that time that I almost gave up religion altogether. I mean, this like right before that, and then around like the high school, this was when like Reddit was kind of just still kind of popping off. And then in those earlier days, Reddit was flooded with like the neo-atheists. And I had almost like apostated myself under their influence. Like a lot of these
All right,
neo-militants,
you got to go back and explain what that is. That word you just used. Say that again. The word.
when you apostate, it means you have rejected or left your religion.
Okay. Hey, yeah, I'm gonna let y'all know real quick. Get your Webster dictionary out, because the vocabulary is going to be crazy in this interview. I'm just letting you know. Keep going.
And so, this was around the time when like, Richard Dawkins was big, Christopher Hitchens was big, Sam Harris was popping, like the neo-atheists on Reddit was like, I have never made a Reddit account because of those earlier experience, like my early exposure to those internet forums. I'm like, yo, y'all are crazy. Like I would never be friends with you in real life. But it was around that time that I was starting to question my spirituality. Why do we do things? Like it, and then I was getting influenced by a lot of the anti-Islamic rhetoric that was happening and that had increased after 9/11. And so because of that, and because of life circumstances, the harsh realities of life, it forced me to ask some difficult questions. And so even from an earlier age, I found a lot of similarities between battle rap, which, by the way, my first battle was at the age of like 12 years old, 13 years old. I was really like up in the lunchrooms just battling. Like we would sneak like after school. We would just like, crowd up in, we would find anywhere that we could just congregate and do it. Because anytime we would group together, adults would be like, they would try to break it up, like, y'all doing something suspicious, we can't have that. So we would find little places like in the schools and the playgrounds and the lunchrooms to battle. And so not only that, but I find a lot of parallels between back and forth MC battling and debate. So not only have I studied hundreds, if not thousands of hours of battle rap, but I've also indulged in thousands and thousands of hours of debate. You know what I mean? Not just religious debate, but all kinds of debate, debating health, debating, not so much politics is not really my area, but just learning debate tactics and
Do you
things like that.
do you debate to just debate, or do you enjoy?
No, no,
Is
no, that's a good question. It's never really honestly, like I don't really care to proselytize. I don't really care to like change people's or try to influence people like that. It was rather a form of like verbal self-defense where it's like, I'm not gonna push my beliefs onto you, but if you come at me sideways, okay, I need to be prepared for that smoke.
Yeah.
And so learning early, like, I kind of, because people will be coming at me with questions and criticism, and I just couldn't respond. It's just naturally, it's not that I would invite these things, it's just through the natural, like, just people just look at you different, or they might look, they might not understand you, or they fear you, and I also faced a lot of that in battle rap too, a lot of the racial elements, a lot of that. And so, you know, man, my mind works in webs, so I might branch off into different, like,
You're fine,
different
bro. Keep it going.
but like verbal self-defense, I learned very early was incredibly important, and I highly encourage everyone at some point in their life to get some degree of competency in the way that you convey a message through your speech and how you utilize your voice. That is incredibly important. In my family, we also have a tradition of combat sports. My father was a belt-winning boxer. My brother, he studies Muay Thai. He's went to Thailand and studied under some very big people in Muay Thai. In fact, he is second generation under the person who brought Muay Thai to the United States. And so I say that to say, it's like, we sometimes people will train their entire bodies for 10 years to earn this black belt on the offshoot chance that one day you might have to use those skills. But in reality, for most people, verbal self-defense is a daily battle. When your boss has come down your neck like, you're garbage or whatever, how are you going to defend you? How are you going to protect yourself? How are you going to defend? When your neighbor is, it could be whoever, that's a day-to-day struggle. So, and I've also, going back to your religion question, so I had to learn to speak with people of all different cultures and religions. And so those were where I sought to answer a lot of the difficult questions for why we experience the things in life. You know what I mean? And why is it that I have to suffer this way? Why is it that I was born here and not in California? Why was it, you know what I mean? What are the, I had to answer a lot of those questions. And so that, and being involved in a wide, diverse group of people just hopping in different networks. I never really fit in one circle. You know what I mean? I sit at the intersection of so many different groups, which make me unique, which makes me able to talk in different ways that other people can't, especially in the medium of rap. So I speak to my Hindu friends, I speak to my atheist friends, I speak to my Christian brothers and sisters and all of them, and I learn from all of them. Sometimes we debate, but it's never really my intention to like, yo, you're wrong. You know what I mean? I'm more interested in understanding how people internalize their truth and how they actualize and implement that in their life to make themselves better and their community and their people better. So yeah.
Yeah, you gave me a lot there, and through that, you touched on a few things. I'm gonna ask you questions that I want you to expand on. Um, I guess I guess I'll first, you said you kind of got into rap at around 12, 13 years old. Um, how do you view so you've been around. I mean, how do you view hip hop culture in its current state?
Um, Man, that's a very open-ended question.
I know I can narrow it. I can narrow it, but but I think that your answer, I don't want you to be broad. I want you to be as narrow as possible with it. I know it's a broad question, but I think where you're going to add uniqueness to this piece is hip hop culture is influenced the whole world now, right? So I want you to
Yeah.
think about that. And it's a predominant, it's predominant it's predominant black, but it's been diversified in so many different ways. And so I tend to think that, you know, with you having a lot of diverse experiences within this, you've seen it. But again, like you're coming from like where your family's from. I have no idea what hip hop looks like within that world, but I'm sure it exists.
Mhm.
I'm sure it exists. And you're just an example and a representation of showing our community, you know what I'm saying, hip hop in a form, in a way that there's no one like you that internalizes and processes and spits out bars and rhymes the way that you do. So I tend to think that you internalize and see hip hop culture in a different way than a lot of people because the way you regurgitate and put stuff out.
Yeah, well, so for me, it's for me, my expression and the way that I've utilized my chosen elements of rap is intrinsically linked with also my religion too. Because when you look at Islam, it truly is a religion of ancient poetry, right? And so, if you study the history also of Islam, you would also know that, the greatest, what their greatest competency was at the time of the Prophet was poetry. They were known as the greatest poets, but not only that, they were also battling each other in in poetry, in their own verse.
Mhm.
And so for me, hip hop, I think there's a spirit behind hip hop that really connects people who feel like they've gone through a struggle. They maybe felt subjugated, maybe they felt marginalized or ostracized. And so I felt like that combined with my background, my upbringing in the neighborhoods that I've been in. In Herndon, I was also in a gang neighborhood with MS-13 and 18th Street and involved in a lot. I've seen a lot of things, and a lot of that came also with a sense of um cultural identity and protection, but also like it's almost like linked with hip hop in a way too. And so, for me, hip hop is a universal expression that can actually reach all people. And that to me is one of the most beautiful things. But I also think that in a broader sense, when we discuss hip hop, we should also, especially when we speak to a non-hip hop audience, that we should also define our terms. Because when we say hip hop, sometimes people confuse that they think the term hip hop is synonymous with rap music. And it's not. I mean, we say hip hop culture because it's a combination of multiple artistic elements and expressions, right? It's not just rap, it's also graffiti art, it's DJing, it's a lot of other things too. So when I think about that, I think about all of the elements also are an innate human expression. And so I don't think hip hop is ever going to die in a sense, in that sense, because if every elemental expression of hip hop is actually returning yourself to your nature, to your human nature and your innate human attributes, and I can talk a little bit more, I can expand on that later, then ultimately the expressions of hip hop, the elements of hip hop may evolve in time, but they will never disappear, right? And so when you ask me about the state of hip hop, what immediately comes into my mind is, okay, what kind of hip hop are we talking about? We can break it down into several categories. So I tend to adopt the definition propounded by KRS-One and the Temple of Hip Hop. We could break it down into three different types of hip hop, and we can spell it in three different types of ways too, right? So we have, I'm going to start from the bottom up. We have hip hop spelled lowercase HIP hyphen lowercase HOP, which essentially is the commodification, the commodification of the hip hop elements in a product form. When you rip off the plastic, when you can purchase it, when you can put it in a cup and drink it, that's hip hop with a hyphen, right? Then you take it a step further, then you have the collective consciousness of hip hop, the combination of all of the elemental expressions you have. And again, within the scope of our conversation, I will use these definitions, but I want to remind people that no one has a monopoly on any of these definitions. It really comes down to who you speak with. So if you're asking me, I tend to take the elemental definitions that has been propounded and posited by the Temple of Hip Hop, and which includes about 9 elements: MCing, DJing, breaking, graffiti art, beatboxing, street fashion, street language, street knowledge, street entrepreneurialism. These are the elemental expressions of hip hop, which can all be battled. And these are the elements, right? And then you go one step further, you have the spirit of hip hop, which comes down to how the elements actually originated, how we started, right? So when you think about what is an innate human attribute, the ability to speech, the ability to communicate, right? A higher order of writing, right? The use of the pen. This is what separates us from different sentient beings. A higher stage of morality, a higher stage of consciousness, and a higher stage of expression. The earliest form of human communication was what? It was body language, and it was the manipulation of sound with our voices. We can say that that was beatboxing, right? We could say, yo, when we simulate the sound of nature, like, okay, I hear that bird and I don't have a language yet. Early humans want to communicate that idea. They're going to replicate that sound to communicate that thought. That's sort of like communicating in beatboxing. The manipulation of technology will always be there. When you take something and you use it in a way the manufacturer did not intend for you to use it. When you scratch a vinyl under that needle, that wasn't intended by the manufacturer. You created a new sound. You manipulated that technology. Hacking will always be there. Hacking music technology. So how can we say that DJing is going to die? How can we say that beatboxing is going to die? How can we say that dance is going to die? You know what I mean? So like when I think about hip hop in a broader sense, we have to define our terms, and we got to break it down. What are we talking about for real? Are we talking about, yo, the numbers are declining, that people ain't buying records, that people ain't going out to shows? Is that what we talking about? Or we talking about, oh, it don't matter if I'm making a dime off this shit. This is my expression. This is innate to who I am. And it don't matter. You can't take that from me. So it's like, yo, it's such a, like, how do I take that? You know what I mean?
Yo, let me tell you what, man. That's going on the gram. I'm gonna go and let you know right now. Like that whole piece right there was was a lesson for real. You know what I'm saying? And just giving, yeah, and you did a great job at giving people a broad scope of everything. That was a great answer. Great answer, man. Um, dang, that was crazy. So, excuse me. I'm just getting over COVID for like the fifth time. It's ridiculous. Man, that was crazy. But I want to first off, I want to kind of I want to give you a compliment. I'm going to say something that I didn't even know I would ever say either. Okay. So, like, I'm going through YouTube, I'm looking at some of your previous battles, right? And um, I think, Jay Moore is one of my favorite battle rappers, part for a lot of reasons. One of the reasons I think is, I think one of the big reasons is just because of he's so entertaining. It's just, he's entertaining and he just, I don't know, he kind of just brings you in, you know what I'm saying? When I went and watched y'all, I went and rewatched y'all's battle. And particularly because I noticed that the score was as close as I've seen a lot of battles with him. I was at the battle. I remember the battle, but I don't know if I ever went back and replayed the battle. When I went back and replayed the battle, and again, this is a compliment to you. I think one of the things that I think, like, there's certain things that separated the two of you in this battle. He won the battle on paper, but when you go back and listen to, like, you gave so much more content, you gave so much more information. You really controlled that aspect of the battle, because in the battle, he was super engaging. Like, I feel like watching you battle him probably put you in a place of where you took your pen to say, you know what, I'm really, like, I think he was probably, I don't think, like, it to me, based off what I've seen, you was probably the most prepared for the battle. You probably prepared better, harder. I'm assuming. I don't know if it's fair for me to use better and harder, but the outcome and a product of what you put out showed that you put a lot of work into it. In comparison to him, he did what he do, and he's one of my favorite battle rappers. Period. Not just here in Richmond or Virginia, like, period. But I didn't feel like he put in the same amount of work as you did. I looked at that battle, and part of me says, I wonder if he prepared enough. Like, I wonder if you surprised him. I'm just curious on your take, on your feedback in response to that battle. I would go back and say that you won that battle. I don't have a problem saying that. I would say, if I was judging that battle, and I don't know how they do it. I don't know if they give their score after a round. I think they do it after each round. But when I go back and look at all three rounds, I would say that I think you won that battle. And that's saying everything, because I don't know if I've ever seen anybody battle him that I've ever felt was closer or won the battle. And that's Smack. That's all the other different battles I've seen. Like, I've seen a lot of his battles. I haven't seen them all, but I don't know if I've seen anyone where I felt like, in that battle with you, and I think a lot of it had to do with him too. Which, I guess, let me add to that. When you battle people, I've heard you say you don't really, you're not. To me, it's almost like golf with you. Like, I feel like you're battling more against yourself than you're even focused on the other person. I mean, you may be you may be respecting their pen, their skill, their capabilities, and all that. But to me, the way you prepared for that Jay Moore battle, to me, it seemed like it was possibly different than maybe how you prepare for other battles, because the way the King Fizzle that you showed in that battle was not the same King Fizzle that I've seen in other battles. I feel like you played up for that one versus you battled, other people, Chef Token, just different people. And I feel like Rossetti, it's like, I got a King Fizzle. I kind of I got what I expected from a King Fizzle. The J Moore battle, I got more than what I was accustomed or used to, or what I would have even thought I'd got from him. So I'm curious on your look back at that battle.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot to say. Well, first I gotta thank you for saying that. I walked away also feeling like I won that battle, but I guess it really comes down to what is important to you. Like, what are the metrics? Like, how do you weigh certain things when you judge a round? for some people, yo, this is a deep conversation I had with Habib and so many other peoples on like, yo, it really comes down to what's most important to you. Like, is uh a short round, can a short round beat a round where someone had a longer round, but they choked in that round or stumbled in that round, or you know what I mean? It's like, what is more important to you? It kind of comes down to like, what as a judge, like what, how do you weigh certain metrics, or how do you like, how do you give points? How do you assign points to certain attributes or certain intangibles? But coming off of how you said that I approached Jay more differently, here's the thing that's a little bit disheartening for me. I think every previous battle before Jay Moore, what people don't know is the behind the scenes backstory, all of the things that people have to go through, you know, in order to stand on a stage and be prepared to rap in front of another opponent. All of my previous battles were done under extreme stress, duress, like conditions that are incredibly difficult to fight through. Like literally, I am in the hospital and radio is in my DMs like, yo, here's like your next opponent. I ain't even discharged yet. You know what I mean? And it's like I'm still fighting. So like when you said that like I approach Jay Moore a little differently, I can understand why you would say that, also because I was at a place where although I was sick during the preparation for that battle, at least I wasn't as sick as my previous, or I wasn't going through like severe hardship compared to my previous battles. And I think because of that, my presentation was a little bit different. And I say that that's a little bit disheartening to me because like on one hand, it's like, yo, this is me. I have to fight through that. Like I have to, you know what I mean? Like this is what is carrying me through all of my hardships. When I get back on that stage and I get my wins back, you know what I mean? Like when I have zero control in anything else in life, at least I can script these raps and I can perform them exactly how I want. When I can't control, I'm gonna be fired from this job, or I'm about to lose my apartment and I don't got no car, and these people are, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And so, like, but as far as like my preparation goes, actually my preparation wasn't any different. In fact, my methodology is the same for every opponent. I have a several stage process of how I prepare for an opponent, and that methodology is the same for everyone.
All right, let me ask you a question in here. So, like, because obviously nobody would know how you prepare, you know, they just see the outcome, right? Do you, are so I look at you like a lyrical athlete, okay? I look at you like a lyrical athlete. Are you better prepared for a battle when you're rested and you know you're able to have good stable balance in your day-to-day life so that you can like, you know, get to your pad and go through whatever process you go through? Or are you better prepared for a battle when you've been in pain and you've had to really dig deep in just all aspects of life to really, you know, bring yourself through the physical health transformation that contributes and inspires probably a lot of the mental things that you go through and how you put the words on paper?
Um, I think you're kind of in the right direction,
And I say this because a lot of artists will say that a lot of their stuff comes from pain. You know, I mean, that seems so. I was curious with you because you've endured tremendous amounts of pain. I mean, I would imagine that through those through that, you probably are conceptualizing rhyme schemes and different things. I'm only assuming.
yeah. For me, it's like it it's not entirely a pain thing. It's more of an emotional thing where I may not be going through extreme pain, but maybe the circumstances of life have changed my emotions during that chapter. right? And so like when I prepare for an opponent, if I'm not emotionally moved, if I'm not emotionally moved either by what is happening in my life or my opponent, then yes, I probably won't be able to perform at my highest level, right? So it's not entirely like what I'm going through in life. I could be actually in a great place, but if someone, let's say, I don't know, throws dirt on my name or makes me just angry at what they say, and I might feel emotionally charged before a battle, I'm more likely to take my preparation a little bit differently. Now, if I'm apathetic, like you make me feel nothing, I'm completely uninspired by you as a person, I don't know anything about you, like I'm far less likely to just, be premeditating or thinking, like it's not flooding my mind all the time. You know what I mean? So like on one hand, it's like you said, it's kind of automatic. Like the bars just come, just because that's how like that's where my mind state is at the time. And so for me, it becomes, yeah, it's a combination of things. One, I've chosen the element of rap to raise and accept my own true self-worth, right? So when I'm feeling like,
Say that
man,
one more time. Say that one more time.
I have chosen the element of rap to raise and accept my own true self-worth. And once I've internalized my self-worth, it is only then that my elemental expression creates a rippling effect in my environment. How can anyone believe I'm dope if I don't believe that? If I'm in the hospital bed fighting and it's like, yo, what? I ain't a king? I'm never gonna be. I can't do anything on that stage. I have to internalize that, like I
Hmm.
have to accept what my challenge is, and I have to conquer that. And I do that through my expression, through the way that I interact with people, and how I've observed a measurable change in myself and within them, right? So it's like, um uh I was trying to remember this rhyme that I said to Rabaloo like many years ago. But anyways, it's like this is how I tend to help other people prosper, right? Because when I think about hip hop, also when I say what does it mean to say I am an elemental expression, or I am a culture, or I am the manifestation of hip hop, which could be having inner peace, helping others prosper. Like if I ain't prospering, how can I help others prosper? Feel me? And so I do that because if there's no reason to listen to anything I tell you if I haven't proven it to myself, if I haven't actually given you the evidence first. Like I could tell you like, yo, you're this, this, and this. But if I haven't actually actualized it, demonstrated it, and executed it, you have no reason to believe anything I say. In what way could I influence you if I haven't even done that for myself yet? So it's like, yeah, yeah,
There's a couple places that takes me. And there's three or four things I want to touch on before we close here. One of them is because we've talked, I mean, you've shared yourself with the world, I mean, you've made it because you've made the choice to pick your phone up and communicate with us at times when you've been down sick. You've made that choice. And I ask this question as respectfully as I possibly can, because I want you to say what you comfortable saying it. I'm not trying to be too nosy. I'm just trying to, before I approach that, your religious preference is Islam, correct?
yes,
Yeah, so but you're knowledgeable of many different religions.
yeah,
You believe in God.
yes,
And so understand for me that the motive behind this question is that I want to be a contributor within our spiritual realm.
yeah,
When I say that I'm praying for you, I don't want it to be just words. So that's the motive behind why I've asked this question, not to be nosy, but because you've shared yourself with the world at times. I feel like you've been sick. You've been sick. Like There's been times I've heard you say things. There's probably been times where I don't know if you've questioned if you're going to live, you've wondered, you know what I'm saying? And you've pulled yourself back through and appeared presenting just like you are now, like everyday, normal, healthy person. But tomorrow you may be like, hey, I'm getting ready to go in for some surgeries. I heard you say that in the recent. So I'm only asking you to share with us whatever you're comfortable sharing that you're going through, because I think there's people out there that really care about you because of the impact you've influenced them. So when they say they care about you and they're praying for you, I want us to be able to help contribute to giving them something to be even more specific about, so that their prayers could be meaningful and
Yeah.
not just a bunch of words. Like, how can I support my brother and knowing whatever I need that he's comfortable with me knowing, so I can put that in a good place on my heart, in my spirit.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. I really appreciate that question, Randy. It means a lot to me. I just want people, so when speaking about my health, I understand that I have to be a little bit strategic about what I put into the public domain, in the public discourse. Um, but I want people, no matter what you believe, whether you're a polytheist or you're a Trinitarian or whoever you worship, it means the world to me if you would extend a prayer. You know what I mean? Whether we believe the same thing or not.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you consider me a brother in humanity, um, I I would deeply appreciate prayers. And just pray for just my strength and pray for my healing. But also, I also pray for to give me the strength to accept and be content with whatever outcome happens, right? And going back to what you had said earlier, like I have had very, very close calls with death. You know what I mean? I have spent many, many months in the hospital, fighting for my life, yeah, going from one hospital to the next, having finished surgery from one hospital, being discharged, and then having to be transported to another hospital because I'm still dying. You know what I mean? Even after being discharged. And you know, there were times where I really did not think I was going to make it. In fact, 2017, 2017, 18, and 19, those 3 years was just like surgeries. Just, and then COVID happened, and then they were telling us like, yo, stop coming to the hospital unless it's an emergency, like, you know what I mean? And because of that, that actually caused greater complications for me. And so like I've had instances where I was fighting, you know, like my fever going for days, fluctuating between 110 to 112 degrees, like my body completely shutting down, like I'm losing my consciousness. And through all of that, you know what I mean? I kept my strength, and my faith with God has really helped me through that, you know? And so for anyone to pray for me, that's on it, that means more to me than even you donating to a campaign for me. Because if it wasn't for my strengthened spirituality, honestly, I don't know. I don't know how I would have survived and got through all of that. And um, so I don't know. I can't predict what's going to happen in my future, but alhamdulillah, today I'm feeling healthy, healthy enough to feel normal. There were a lot of times where, you know, I couldn't walk, you know, my organs were being supported by machines and tubes, and you know, I needed two adults just to simply get me onto a bed. I couldn't walk up and down stairs. Like I'm telling you, I have the most horrific health stories, and like just having to navigate through the healthcare system, the problems with our healthcare system, being uninsured. Literally, like here on Gray Street, I remember one year not having insurance. I was literally lined up in the winter with the homeless folks, trying to get some healthcare, trying to get some doctor to look at me. I've had some of the worst, like, yo, man, I could go off. I had one doctor tell me, in 2017, he this is why I always shoot my shot. And like I've been through so much in my mind, it kind of just purges these things. Like sometimes, this the human condition for you to want to forget a lot of that trauma sometimes. So when sometimes I recall some of these things, it is a very emotional thing for me sometimes. And so like, a doctor once told me, like, he messed up in the surgery. I came in for a consultation. I told him everything. He didn't listen to me. He knew I didn't have insurance. I told him everything. There was a delay. They left some instrumentation inside of my body, and they delayed and they left that instrumentation inside of me, and they couldn't remove it. And so I had to have like 7 or 8 additional surgeries, and it damaged me. The doctor came in and said, I'm not going to help you. Go find another doctor. He came in, messed up the surgery, then said, go somewhere else. I'm not going to help. I'm not going to treat you. There's no, you know what I mean? Like, and it's like,
That's crazy.
This is why I always shoot my shot, Randy. Whenever it's like a job that I'm shooting for, a person I want to ask out or whatever, there's no rejection in my life that's going to be as painful as a surgeon coming into me post-op and telling me, yeah, I fucked up and you're going to have to go somewhere else because I'm not going to fix you. You can't afford me.
Joe, man, let me tell you, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think I might want to do a part 2 with you. Like, man, that's crazy. Like, I've never heard anything like that in my life.
This doctor came into my room in the presence of my father, in the presence of some of my closest people, my royal domain. By the way, I should maybe in another conversation, I'll break down my concept of royal domain and my concept of vibe check and all of that. But my royal domain was with me. My father looked at me straight, and my father's a belt-winning boxer. He looked at me straight in my eyes when he left the room, like, should I walk out there and kick his ass right now? It was like that, Randy. My people were in tears next to me, bedside. This doctor said that to me. Yo, man. You know how many I should share you some of the unreleased tracks that I've recorded after that chapter. Like, for real, that was some of the darkest.
Yeah,
Darkest.
I would love to. I would love to listen to them. I mean, I think. Let me say. I think so. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I do or not now to think of it. But man, but when you say royal domain, I can kind of assume what I think that might mean. You just used the term vibe check, and I've heard you say that in battles when things have got kind of like chaotic. Like, I've assumed that's only meant like, hey, like, we need to me you're basically you're asking for some respect to some degree, you know what I'm saying? Like, let me speak, you know. Man, Fizzle, like, I knew this wasn't going to be like any other interview I've done. Like, I keep my interviews typically at an hour because of people's ability to comprehend and stay engaged. But my gosh, like, I could talk to you, and I'm not done yet. But I'm just saying, like, I feel like as I'm having this conversation, I may want to have another one. And for those who's listening, I'm hoping that you're enjoying it as well. But I didn't have this conversation I had this conversation. I wanted this interview just as much for me, selfishly, more than you, because I knew that I was going to walk away from this conversation just like getting answers and to things I kind of always wanted to know. And I know there's other people that's equally benefiting from it. But again, I'm just saying, like, selfishly, I may need another one. You know, like your conversation and is, I mean, it's just different, man. It's just different. But let me get some more of my questions, man. But thank you for sharing that, and that helps me, man. Couple more things I want to touch on real quick. Like, I work in healthcare also. I think there's a lot of people that don't know. I work on behalf of the mental health side of things, but mental health, community health is kind of all It's the same thing, you know. If you can't take care of your household, and you're not really contributing to taking care of your community, and if you ain't taking care of your community, you're not taking care of the world. And we talk about public health, but what's private health? Really? You know what I'm saying? Like, we all share the same air. We all live in the same communities, but we're divided by what's public and what's private and what's for profit and what's nonprofit, you know, and just doing your bio and learning about the work that you do. I'm of the impression that you kind of assess data. I'm of that impression to some degree on behalf of it. So can you just share a little bit about what you do in your day work so that people can learn that part about you? Because 5 to 9, they know you as the battle MC, you know what I'm saying? But 9 to 5, you're out here doing other things that's helping contribute to improving society as well.
Yeah, actually, currently, I'm not doing anything healthcare related.
Okay.
Actually, the whole health, the like the health side of things, it just like I'm not like that's not what I went to school for. That's not something that I really studied. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It kind of just fell into my lap like that. Uh,
Okay.
just from networking.
Mm-hmm.
I first got to give a shout out to Dr. Prom Wormley. She's the OG Sifu. I call she I know her because she was my Taekwondo instructor.
Mm-hmm.
She is a researcher at Virginia Commonwealth University in the Division of Epidemiology. And so, it was one of those periods where I had graduated and I was really, really struggling to find work, and I'm complaining on Facebook and I'm kind of just, talking about my journey in the pre-employment process. And Dr. Prom Wormley hit me up like, hey, I may have an opportunity for you as a research assistant at the Division of Epidemiology. And look, at that point, like I ain't got no like research I got some competency in like databasing, you know what I mean? Like doing basic SQL stuff, things like that. And I had a background in tech. So she kind of hired me to kind of do like the tech side of stuff for the division. So I was doing a lot of the website stuff. And so like the databasing, the website, developing websites for the department. And I'm also responsible for the department's VCU health system website redesign. Anyways, but we went out and collected healthcare data, baseline healthcare data in the East End of Richmond to better improve neighborhood level healthcare outcomes. And also I did some food access work through some of the partnerships that I made and some of the networking that I've done while working at VCU epidemiology. So we had partnered with nonprofits like Feed More, and like Shalom Farms. And so I was doing that. And also that is also personal to me because, I was on the free lunch program my entire life. You know what I mean? Like coming to VCU was the first time in my life I felt like, yo, I could actually have food when I want. You know what I mean? And so, just being close in the trenches in the community, like we were out there working with like Wickham, Mosby, Creighton, Fulton, all of those neighborhoods, just, building relationships and understanding what are the healthcare needs of that. And so that's some of the work that I did back then. And a lot of that I did also the tech side of stuff. And I had multiple resumes. I got like a health resume here, and just pushing out my resume to all these
Mm.
different things. And today I'm just doing compatibility work for digital properties for certain companies. I won't get too detailed. Again, I don't want too much to be in the
Yeah.
public discourse, but so like I help with people who don't have vision, who have mobility issues, and I help make technology easier for them. Essentially, that's what I
Oh
do.
man, yeah, I mean, yeah, yeah, we're gonna have to have more conversation. I mean, my wife's not a doctor.
Mm.
Um, I've done a lot of work with the Virginia Vision and Impaired. I think it's right over there and across from Henrico High School. Like, I've done a lot of work with them because a lot of people don't think about it. Like, people who are visually impaired, they don't think about how that impacts their cognitive, like it's just their mental state. Like, so nah, no, I was interested in that though. And I'm definitely not surprised in anything that you would be involved with tech just by listening to your rhymes. You know what I'm saying? I I kind of put together, and part of the motivation for this interview is because I've tried to assume and figure you out through what you've shared, and we've never had the depth in conversation. But man, this is inspiring to have more. You won this past weekend with the this interview will come out in a couple of weeks, but you won against Introverse. However, I've heard, I wasn't there, but I've heard that Introverse did well as well. I heard it was I heard it was closer than maybe people may have thought. That's what I've heard. I'm curious what your take is on that battle. But congratulations, obviously, on the win. You won on paper. It's like you went on paper, but then you got the street view. You know what I'm saying? What's your take on it?
Yeah, yeah, I knew first of all, big shout outs to Introverse. He really did his thing. He put on a good performance. And I knew I was really gonna enjoy that battle. Although just the process of battling is always very stressful. But
Mhm.
so I heard the same. I heard that it was a very good back and forth. I think I heard something along the lines of like it was the most back and forth battle of the night. Um,
What was the
and
score? What was the score on paper?
I don't remember the exact score, and I
I mean, was
do.
it 2-1, 3-0?
No, it wasn't a 3-0. It wasn't a clear 3-0 victory. I had some, there were moments I struggled in that battle too. You know what I mean? Like I had, uh, it's a, man. There's so much I can say. Yeah. So there were moments where like, so he set it off top of round one. I won the coin toss. And it was if I had so here's the thing. I kind of enjoy going first because I get to set the energy. I get to set the tone of the battle. And so I kind of have to talk about the objective, the way that I view MCing in general, right? So like when we think about MCing, we can spell it in multiple ways, letter M and letter C. I choose to spell it EMCEE, but we can also say MC. And what is that an acronym or a backronym for? It could be multiple things. Again, no one has a monopoly on definitions or definitions, but people have historically said it means master of ceremonies, move the crowd, mic checker, mic controller. But I would also add manipulate consciousness, mind control, right? And so by going first in a battle, I feel that I have an advantage of actually setting the tone of how my opponent feels in the battle. And so it was very important for me, like because I won the coin toss and chose not to go first, and that actually played in my favor. But had I had gone first, I know for a fact I would not have struggled in certain parts of my round. And that's why this I think that I really like this battle because it was a back and forth. He set it off top of round one. He was getting crazy reaction. We battled after Juanski and Chef Token. And so we set a different energy. Our battle really set a different energy that night. And so just off the bat, he was getting reaction, and I'm like, okay, yeah, they're really responding. But and then it was like I had it. It was like there's a I don't know how to explain it, but there's a way that at MC it's really mind games because you could actually win a battle before y'all get on the stage, right? And I think this is what Chef Token is really good at. But side note, but like Chef Token's also really good at that. He's really good at like making you doubt that if you could even win or not, right? And so like
Jeff Token?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think he's also good at that. It's just side note, just side
Okay,
note.
okay. All right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He and I saw that in the Juanski battle right afterwards because we were up right after him, and so it was a really good back and forth. On paper, I won. I asked someone in the audience. afterwards, like, what was the score again? I forgot. I think they said it was a 5-point difference. But again, it's like, for me, it doesn't really matter who walks away with an official win on their record, right? As long as I feel like I put on a good performance and I got people, or I feel like I walked away winning that battle, that to me is more important, right? So maybe there are some people who watch that battle. Actually, in fact, I've heard people like, yo, people say, yeah, actually, I actually give it to intro for different reasons, right? And it comes down to like how you view a
I
battle.
can't wait to see that one. That's the one
Yeah.
I want. Well, I want to see that battle, and I want to see the real life Sun battle. I heard that Sun won that battle. I was a little surprised, to be honest with you. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't be, because I know he can rap. I've heard him. I've heard him. I know he can. I was a little surprised though. But kudos to all the winners, and kudos to all the people who didn't win on paper. Kudos to you for just participating and putting yourself in the war of fire. You know what I'm saying? Um, man, this has been good, man. I don't close because I want to. I close because it's a little twofold. I close because I've accepted and learned that people can only comprehend and take in so much. And I think that there's benefit to probably having another conversation too, because but not just a conversation publicly, man. I'm invested in wanting to just, you have a lot of information to share, you know, and there were certain things you broke down in this. I was almost you know, like, you familiar like the Holy Trinity? I feel like you described that in hip hop to some degree tonight because of just sharing so many different concepts. You don't give just bland answers. You know, you give you give a really interesting perspective to almost challenge, like you challenge me, and really, like, you know, I probably should have thought about how I approach this question. I should have probably prepped, probably should have, because you really give answers that almost make you feel like, man, like that was, I can't ask such a bland, there ain't no such question as a dumb question. But I should have you make me have to ask the question in the best way possible. You know what I'm saying? Because your answer is gonna be, stop it, my dog. Sorry. Your answer is gonna
Yeah.
be really good. So man, this has just been inspiring, King Fizzle, man. I think you're a special person, man, and really excited for what the future holds for you. You don't have any other battles in mind at the current moment?
They're all the same to me. All the opponents are uninspiring. It's all a systematic process. I
I
break
hate
them
it, man. I hate it. I don't
like
like that. I don't like that. But I understand it. I understand it for the league standpoint, but kinda in that, but there's parts of it I don't like. Like, I mean, but at the same, are you gonna challenge anyone for the belt anytime soon?
um
Are you in a position to do that with how the stats are right now?
I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I'm in contention for the belt yet. Maybe in the future.
Mm-hmm.
But I ain't really worried about it. I'm more worried about putting on like a really good performance and putting on the
You
best
always
that I
do
can.
that, man. You always do that. You got are you making any efforts to battle outside of the league?
Sure. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
also, I'm interested in different types of formats of battling too. Like one of the things I love about rap is you could battle it in so many different ways.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I want to do a 2-on-2 with someone. Some
Yeah.
people like 2-on-2s. I think because yo, one thing I hadn't mentioned, I have a background in slam poetry too. Like
Yeah.
I was doing the open mic thing with Robaloo and them right
Yeah.
when I got here at Richmond, so and I was doing it at a collegiate level at VCU too. Just doing the group pieces in poetry, that's crazy. Like there's so many parallels we could bring into hip hop. Also, just different formats of free form rhyming. One thing I would like to bring back is just like, yo, just like unlimited, just like no time limit, like yo, just keep going until someone exhausts their bars and then yo,
Yeah.
someone, you know what I mean? Or just rapid fire, like yo, I, 2 4 bars, 4 bars, 4 bars, 4 bars, and just back and forth, just freestyle off the top. You know what I mean? Like one of those, like that could be really entertaining too. So I'm interested in different formats of battling, not just different leagues, but also that's what I love about just the Richmond scene in general. We have sound clashes, we have versus battles, we have the Rap Elite Cypher. You got the acapella shit. Like, I mean, there's so many, like, you know what I mean? There's so many.
Yeah, have you ever tapped into the writers den with Roscoe? Do you know him?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like I was so like I was mostly involved with like Slam the Waddle and
Mhm.
like the collegiate stuff, Good Clear Sound, but I'm very familiar with like Roscoe, Writers Den, Tuesday Versus,
Yeah,
Breeze and them. So yeah, I mean like yo, I was a fan of Roscoe when I first came. I still am. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm a fan of Roscoe when I first came to Richmond and um uh wasn't he the one who like started some like just the crowd react like the crowd response thing with like word, you know what I mean? Just like saying the word, like response back
Well, I mean,
from
I
yeah.
mean, it's just, it's what I'm familiar with has just been so immersed within the whole versus culture. You know, shout out Lorna Pickney because I mean, she really is what I feel like inspired everybody else in regard to what they're doing today. And Roscoe was obviously a key piece to all of that as well. So, yeah, no, I can definitely see you on that end, man. I just want to make sure, man, continue to create, continue to inspire, continue to put it out there. Um, continue to like, I mean, I see you kind of as like you operate, you're a vessel, you know, and I just think that you continue to spread and grow. And yeah, man, like I just really enjoyed this conversation, and I don't mean that lightly. And I want to have more. So let them know where they can find you, King Fizzle.
Find me at King Fizzle on IG. Don't find me on Facebook. I might block you and delete you from my existence. Don't find me on Twitter. I'm not on TikTok. You know what I mean? You might, yeah, I might hate you after that. But you can find me on Instagram though.
Yeah, man, y'all get in this inbox, you know, connect with them. Last question: how important is music to you?
Music has an integral, like it's very integral to who I am as a person. Music has allowed me to really navigate and through my emotions and process my emotions. And you know, I've always said to myself that if I could achieve the highest feats in either the realm of battle rap or in the realm of rap music, I would probably choose rap music. Um, if I could achieve the highest level of my potential, I would choose rap music over battle rap because battle rap is strictly for the ego. It is a competition of characters. It's a competition of, you know what I mean? It's selfishness. But in the ways that MCs have inspired me and changed me and helped me, I think it's far more difficult to duplicate or replicate that change in someone else through a round of battle rap. And it's not to say that people can't be inspired because I continue to be surprised by a lot of the fans and a lot of the feedback. And I never underestimate, no matter what art you practice, don't underestimate how you are going to affect people, right?
Yeah,
I think it was an interview with Wu-Tang where they said that, yo, we have all of these violent raps and we have all of this stuff that's not exactly very inspirational or very, you know what I mean? But then we got fans coming and telling us like, yo, this helped us for real. So don't ever underestimate the influence and power you have as an artist onto your environment and into your domain that you've cultivated. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
yeah,
So I feel that I could actually impact people a little bit more. Also, like it's fun, man.
yeah.
Like performing music is a lot less stressful than battle rap for
What are you
me.
listening to right now?
Um, yo, on like to keep it real with you, Randy, like I don't listen to too much right now because like it's it's not like it
Sounds
doesn't.
so you sound so it sounds like an artist right there. That's like such an artist answer. That'd be so because it's so surprised. I hear that all the time from artists. like, I'm not listening to anything like that. That would be crowd my creativity.
But like also understand, Randy, like I have to also divide my time in so many different ways. I'm so skilled and talented at so many different things. Like if I was always engaged in one thing, I wouldn't be able to talk about certain scriptures, or I wouldn't be able to solve a Rubik's Cube in less than 25 seconds, or I have so many other things. So it's like if the music isn't challenging me in some way, then I usually just fast forward or skip it, or it doesn't have any replay value with me. Um, and also like I listen to a lot of different things, not just rap music. I listen to Quran recitations, I listen to meditation type things, I'm listening to audiobooks, thousands and thousands of hours of debate material. I'm constantly learning, I'm constantly taking in information. And so like and this is why I tend to not to read fiction either too, right? So like if I feel like if I'm not getting better in some aspect of myself in
Wasting your
something,
time.
I'm wasting my time. Exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm similar in that aspect. I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. It's man, you got like the craziest beard. Like people probably it's crazy. Like your beard's so perfect that, and like with the hat that you got on right now, like I thought it was for a minute. I thought it was like all together. Like I didn't know if you had like a. It's crazy, man. Man, look, King Fizzle, Randy Wilson podcast. You can find this podcast everywhere podcasts are played. If you're just becoming familiar with me, go over to randywilsonpodcast.com. Check out the different episodes I've had. And again, look, man, be a difference. The year of 24 is for more. That's what I feel like. It's for more life, more love, more support, more development, more growth, more favor. It's the year for more. And it doesn't all have to be, it could be more money. It might be, but I'm not even thinking about that aspect of it. I think it's just about more intelligence, more knowledge, more education, like more work, more grind. You know what I'm saying? Allow yourself in 2024 to grow more and be a better person to contribute to society. And that's what King Fizzle's doing. I look forward to our relationship continuing to develop and grow. Thank you for being a guest on the show. Uh, just respect to you and your royal domain, particularly, bro. Those who support you and keep you stable, because you're being a blessing to all of us, man. I didn't know when I learned about you and the whole Rap Elite forum. It's been a few years. I remember when I first heard you rap. It was definitely at the one. Let's go back like 4 or 5 places ago. It was what is that place called? It used to be like Aurora back in the day.
In Hoffheimer,
Before that,
uh, was it Champion Brewing?
before that,
Strange Matter,
before that, after that, maybe.
Gold Room.
No, it was a place, man. It was like no, it was downtown. It was like going toward the John Marshall Hotel.
Yeah, the Gold Room.
Is that what it was? The Gold Room
Yeah, yeah. You had to walk up the stairs, and then you had it was kind of like a club atmosphere.
downstairs. Yeah, but it was called something else though. Champion Brewery. That might have been it. Was it? It was a
That's the one with
brewery.
the super tall ceilings and the big,
Yeah,
yeah,
Champion. I think. Yeah, not yeah. It might have been Champion Brewery. It was definitely a brewery. They
yeah.
definitely sold beer. I know that. That was like the thing. That's when I first learned about you. And I didn't know at that time that I don't know, man. The thing about you that's interesting, I think, is that you challenge a person. I don't rap in a rap elite, like I'm not, I just come there to listen, but like you challenge a listener to listen. And I think there was a time when I was listening to you that I caught what I caught, but it was also a little intimidating too, because it made you have to work to some degree to understand it. But then once you start getting into it and seeing the depth and the layers, and like, man, like this guy's crazy. And I think you actually won one of the battles that I first not. That's when you won. You freestyled, I think, one. Like, if am I saying that correctly? It almost I
Uh,
thought it was a freestyle.
Wait, say again?
One of the ciphers, I feel like you won, and I feel like it was a freestyle.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. The Champion Brewing.
I
Yeah,
was there.
that. Yeah.
I remember that one particularly. I was like, man, this guy's crazy. But anyway, look, I'm rambling. Y'all, thank y'all for checking, staying with the episode, and I'll see you next time.